Hello everyone, it's Sheila back again. I'm back with another kind of tutorial. I'm going to show, I'm in the middle of knitting a little baby's cardigan here. I think it's probably going to be about 19 inches, this one, when it's finished. And I've already done the back, the two fronts and one of the sleeve. And I'm going to show you how I work out the where to put the little like bird eyes. I have a thing, but I can't think what to call this pattern. But it is probably a known pattern, but I made this up for my knitting machine a lot of years ago when I used to use a knitting machine, and I used to get a lot of orders for this pattern. So I'm going to show you how I work out how to put the where to put the stitches for the lace on here. And I'm doing the second sleeve. And this pattern has to have an odd number of stitches. So I've got 31 stitches on here. And I've knit 8 rows of twisted rib. And then I've knit, I'm onto the 4th. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I'll be onto the 4th row. And I'm also going to increase the first stitch on either side on this row. So how I work out the pattern is I always like one of the little lace things like that in the very centre. So I find the centre stitch, and this pattern has 5 stitches to the lace and 5 stitches in between. So I count my stitches. I know 31, the centre stitch will be 16. So I count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. That is the 16th stitch there. So I'm going to count 2 because that's the centre stitch of the lace, and then the 2 little holes on either side. So I'll have those 2 little holes, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's knitting the plain stitch in between, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm left with 3 stitches at the start, and I'm also going to increase in that stitch. So I'm going to knit 3 stitches, that's 1, but I'm also going to increase, so I'm increasing in the second stitch, and then knitting 1 more stitch. That's the 3 stitches plus the 1 I've increased. And then I'm going to knit, for the lace part of the pattern, I'm going to knit 2 stitches together, bring the yarn forward, knit 1 stitch, bring the yarn forward again, slip the next stitch, knit the next stitch, and pass that slip stitch over the knit stitch. I'm picking up 2 there. So that's the first the little birdie lace. So now I'm going to knit 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I'm going to do the birdie lace again. So that's knitting 2 stitches together, bring the yarn forward, knit 1 stitch, yarn forward, knit 1 stitch, slip 1 stitch, pass the slip stitch over, and that's the 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I've made for the it's like bird's eye, but you can't call it bird's eye because there's a brand called bird's eye. I may get sued. So I'm knitting 5 stitches again. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to knit 2 together. Bring the yarn forward, knit 1 stitch, bring the yarn forward again, slip the next stitch, knit the next stitch, and pass that slip stitch over the knit stitch. And then I'm increasing again like I did at the start. So that's increased 1 stitch and knitting the last 2 stitches. So there you have 4 stitches at the start and 4 stitches at the end of the row. And then I have 3 lace pattern. So I will knit across the purl row. I'm using larger needles here because that's what I'm knitting with, and they're sort of getting in the way a bit. As I'm holding my knitting underneath the camera on my phone, and it's a little bit awkward. So I'll pause until I knit across this row. So I'm knitting the last 3 stitches of that row. And then you can see the little pattern of the lace pattern better. Now I'm going to knit 4 rows. That's what I'm doing with the pattern. I'm knitting 4 rows in between each set, and then I'll place the rosebuds in the centre here. But I pause it until I knit those rows, and then I'll show how to do that. So I've knitted another 4 rows, and I've also increased. You can see the little mark where the increasing was. So I now have 2 more stitches on the end of the needle, and I'm going to place the little bird eye in the center here on this part. So this is the center stitch in the bird's eye. So you look for the center. We've knitted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches here. So you find the center stitch, that which is 1, 2, 3. A minute, 1, 2, 3, which is this stitch here. And then we're going to knit 2 stitches together on the side of that center stitch, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plain stitches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 stitches for to do the lace pattern, but because it's on the very edge, I'm going to miss that one out and go on to the one in the very center here. So I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to knit 10 stitches and then start the lace. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then as you can see, the 1, 2, 3, that's the center stitch, which is that one there. So you knit the 2 stitches before that centre stitch. Knit those two together. Bring the yarn forward, knit one, bring the yarn forward again, slip one, knit the next stitch, pass that slip stitch over, put that all out the way, and I'm going to knit 5 stitches to the next lace. 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to knit 2 more together, yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1 stitch, pass the slip stitch over the knit stitch, and knit to the end of that row. If there had been 1 extra stitch on the end of here, I would have made a lace at the end, but I don't start the pattern with knit 2 stitches together. I like it to be at least a stitch left on either side of it. So I'm now going to knit a purl row, and I'll pause that. So that's that row knitted across. And as I go further up the sleeve, I will be adding more stitches as I go. So the next time I do the lace, it'll be this one here, and I just follow to knit. I just follow the centre stitch up till I find the centre stitch, so I know exactly where to do the 2 stitches together, and then knit 1 and slip 1. And that's a very simple pattern for any beginner. It's a very simple little, it's just a small lacy pattern, and being on a little baby cardigan, it's quite easy. And I will be knitting 1, 2, 3. The next row will be an increasing row. So I hope that's helpful for any learner who wants to do just a little bit lacy pattern, because as you can see, it's very effective when it's done all over the whole thing. When I finish this, my other channel, which is Sheila's Knitting Tips and Other Stuff, I will show the finished cardigan on there, so you can see what it looks like when it's all done. So that's it for today, and I'll be thinking up some other tutorial for the next time. So bye for now.